नमस्कार। आज हम ये अपना आखिर का सत्र रखेंगे क्योंकि जैसे मैंने परसों बताया कि प्रश्न तो बहुत है, लेकिन अभी जो मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर भी सत्र शुरू हुए हैं तो इसीलिए इस सत्र को आज का आखिर का सत्र है। आज थोड़ा अंग्रेजी में ज़्यादा बोलूँगी। दिस इज़ ए क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम बी विजय कुमार रेड्डी, निवासी कार्यकर्ता, विवेकानंद केंद्र, अरुण ज्योति, ईटानगर, अरुणाचल प्रदेश। What does culture mean? Do other countries also think of culture as we do? How do we look at culture in our country? And there are few other questions. This is a very big question and there are few questions related to culture. So today first I will try to explain what culture is, and then we shall see those few questions. So culture is a very vast topic for our understanding. We shall see the definition of culture as a characteristic way of life inspired by vision and values of life according to which people live. जीवन दर्शन और जीवन मूल्यों से प्रेरित वैशिष्ट्यपूर्ण जीवन पद्धति, इन हिंदी वी कैन से दैट। इसीलिए यदि हमें अपने देश की संस्कृति देखनी है और बाकी देशों की भी देखनी है तो इन यानी संस्कृति के 3 अंग हैं। वो 3 अंग यदि हम समझते हैं तो हमें बाकी बातें समझने में थोड़ी आसानी होगी। 3 अंग ऐसे हैं: जीवन दर्शन, जीवन मूल्य और जीवन तत्व और जीवन व्यवस्था। सो देयर आर 3 components of culture, that is vision of life, values and principles of life, and systems of life. Now when we say vision of life, so how do we decide what is the vision of life or vision of whole existence in that culture? How in that culture 3 things are viewed. 3 things means Ishwar, that is God, or the whole existence, nature, creation, whatever you want to say. And third is the human being. So जीव, जगत, जगदीश्वर, इन तीनों को कैसे देखा जाता है, इन तीनों का कैसा परस्पर संबंध देखा जाता है, उससे हमें उस संस्कृति का जीवन दर्शन क्या है पता चलता है। तो अभी बहुत विस्तृत में न जाते हुए, in our culture we see all these 3 as interconnected and ultimately everything as pervaded by Ishvara. That is, this whole manifestation, nature, creation, whatever you want to call. For us the word is manifestation. Whatever this whole everything has manifested, it is pervaded by Ishvara. The human being is also essentially, potentially divine. So God is everywhere. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. That is the vision of life in Indian culture. So it means what? That we see divinity everywhere, and if we want to still take it to the one thing, it is we see only one Chaitanya, one consciousness, Atman, everywhere. So it is a vision of oneness, और यह एकात्म जीवन दर्शन है क्योंकि हम सर्वत्र एक ही आत्म तत्व को देखते हैं, जिसको हम ईश्वर कहे, जिसको हम जो भी नाम दे, परमात्मन कहे, ब्रह्मन कहे, तो ईश्वर ही सर्वत्र है। वो कण कण में है, रेणु रेणु में है, मनुष्य के अंदर है, बाहर है, सर्वत्र है। इसीलिए अपना जीवन दर्शन जो है वो एकात्म जीवन दर्शन है। Ours is a vision of oneness. Now this is very important, means to understand the vision of a culture, because the values and principles outwardly, even if the words are same, its meaning could be different, its scope could be different. So vision of life is this. From that comes the values and principles of life. Now what are all values come? Because we see Ishvara everywhere, in Indian culture everything is revered. everything is sacred. We see Ishvara everywhere, so we are inclusive. We don't reject anything, whether it is a form of God. So we can worship God in various forms. Whether it is a name of God, we can worship God by various names, or whether it is a path to choose that ultimate, to realize that ultimate. For that also, we choose many paths. And we are inclusive. Inclusive in the sense, if I have chosen one path and I worship Ishvara in specific form, I don't go and tell others that, see, your God is false and my God alone is true. So that is not there. Ekam sat vipraha bahudha vadanti. एक ही अनेक रूप से प्रकट हुआ है. एको हम बहुश्याम. So this is what is one of the first important thing. Ekam sat vipraha bahudha vadanti. And then respect of everything. So we worship everything. That is, we worship nature, we worship ancestors, we worship elders. Our all festivals, every traditional festival in India, we worship something or other. Nothing is left, means there is no festival in which there is no worship. So reverence for everything. Then third thing that comes is what is very, always it is so much talked about, but it is always wrongly understood, or it is misunderstood. That is unity in diversity. So many times I ask people, tell me what is this unity in diversity? You know what they tell? They tell, see, I am Marathi, you are Tamil, you are Kannada, you are Arunachali, you are Assamese, but we are all Indians. We have same constitution. So I told, it means when there was no constitution, we were not one. Was there no unity? So just because we call ourselves Bharatiya is our unity. Is our unity organic, or is our unity adopted by some resolutions? So our unity is not superficial. That is, I come and say that, okay, I don't want to call myself Bharatiya, and therefore I want separate Maharashtra or separate Tamil Nadu, or anyone can talk like that, because I don't want to be. So that's not the case. That is, as a person cannot say, I don't accept my DNA. DNA is there in him. Or a person cannot say that I want to change my parents. You may change calling someone as parents, but from whom you are born, that you cannot change. That is your organic identity. So same way, our organic identity is there, unity is there, or it is superficial unity. Now if you see, in India, when we say unity in diversity, all that we do in different parts, its outward expression is various, is diverse, is beautifully diverse, but the attitude behind that is same. That is what is unity in diversity. For example, in whole of our country, if we build a new house, we do puja and we enter the house. Even before building the house, we do Bhumi Puja. Everywhere in our country we do. Now that puja may be different. That is, the type of puja may be different. We may have something, in some place we may use apang to do the puja, like in Arunachal Pradesh or in some other areas. Or in some place, when we enter the new house, as in Tamil Nadu, we boil the milk till it overflows. Housewarming ceremony, what we call it. In different places, different way it is done. Puja is different. But the bhava, the attitude behind that is same. उसी प्रकार हम देखते हैं कि पूरे भारत देश में हम यदि फसल काटते हैं तो उसकी पूजा होती है. उसके पहले भी उसकी पूजा होती है. अभी उस पूजा का तरीका अलग हो सकता है, उसके पीछे का भाव सेम है. घर में जब बहू आती है तो वो बहू को लक्ष्मी करके देखते हैं, तो उसका घर आने का जो तरीका है उसमें भी कुछ पूजा या कुछ विधि इन्वॉल्व है. वो विधि अलग अलग हो सकता है, लेकिन उसके पीछे का भाव सेम है कि शी इज द सिंबल ऑफ प्रॉस्पेरिटी एंड फ्यूचर ऑफ दिस हाउस होल्ड. सो कुछ घर में वो जो धान्य है उसको अंदर ये करते हुए आती है, कुछ जगह वो दिया लगा के हुए आती है। अरुणाचल में जब वो अपने घर में चढ़ती है, क्योंकि घर ऐसे पहले ऐसे ज़्यादा नीचे पानी होने के कारण ऐसे बनाए जाते थे सेफ्टी के लिए भी, तो वो अपनी एक प्रेशस माला जो होती है वो माला खोलते हुए उसके जो जेम्स है उसको बिखेरते हुए वो घर में आती है। यानी कहीं भी हो उसके पीछे का भाव एक है। ऐसे हम अनेक ये देख सकते हैं, वी कैन सी मेनी सच प्रैक्टिसेस इन विच the outward expression of the practice is different, but the attitude behind that is same. So whether it is respect to parents, it is respect to guru, it is respect to the jivers, to the trees, so the attitude is same. There are many, we are not going to see, actually it's a very big topic. One more value of life is that each soul is potentially divine. We don't consider man as a sinner. This is what Swami Vivekananda very proudly talked about. He said the most distinguishing characteristic of our culture, our dharma is that we don't consider man as sinner, but he is expression of divinity. He is potentially divine. And the goal of life is to manifest that divinity by controlling the nature, external and internal. Do this by work or worship, by psychic control or knowledge, by one or more and all, and be free. So, this is what Swami Vivekananda told even in America, that it is a sin to call a human being as a sinner. You, the children of immortality, how you could be a sinner? So we consider man essentially divine. Only in his ignorance he considers himself, as something who cannot do many things, or he considers himself as only body-mind complex. And the whole life is to realize our divine nature, the whole purpose of life. So this is another value. So in India, everywhere we know, anyone ultimately says that आखिर तो मुझे मुक्ति मिलना है, मोक्ष प्राप्त करना है, यानी इस जो बॉडी माइंड कॉम्प्लेक्स के बॉन्डेज से हम जुड़े हुए हैं उसको तोड़ते हुए मुक्त होना है, और आई हैव टू रियलाइज गॉड. सो दिस इज वन मोर, एंड that is where Swami Vivekananda said that it is so unfortunate that we have lost confidence in ourselves. Our rishis had such confidence that we can make the whole world Aryan. They had so much confidence. They said the people from different countries should come and learn from here that how a human life is to be lived. Unfortunately, we have lost that confidence. We have become crying babies. That is, we keep on crying. You ask someone why he did not do something, he will give 1,000 reasons blaming others. But he will never say that, yes, my efforts were lacking, I should strive more next time. That is, as Swamiji used to tell, take the whole responsibility on your shoulder. If you decide, you can do many things. All power is within you. But whether as Eknathji used to say, whether your faith is intellectual or real, that the God's power is within me. If it is real, you will not say it is not possible for me, I cannot do this, and like that people, there are some who keep on crying for small things. So we will not be like that. So this is what Swami Vivekananda said, that this is one most distinguishing principle which we have forgotten, but which we have to, again, if we can inculcate it properly, no one can stop us. Then, of course, there are 4 Purusharthas, that is, the 4 legitimate human aspirations. All the aspirations of human being are categorized by our Rishi in these 4. They were masters of categorization. And they have categorized into Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So, one should strive for Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Artha and Kama are natural Purushartha. That is, everyone wants to strive for that. Even animals do that. What makes us human being is that for us, Dharma is the primary Purushartha. That is, we don't think only of ourselves, we think of our extended self, of Samashti. So, Artha and Kama are to be earned based on Dharma. If you come to Kanyakumari, if you have come, you must have seen Saint Tiruvalluvar, he stands on that rock with 3 fingers raised. He says that don't worry about moksha now. It will come. First, you strive for Artha and Kama based on Dharma. So, Dharma is primary. Hold on to Dharma and everything will come. Chitta Shuddhi will come, moksha will also come. So, he says only Aram, Imbam, Porul. These 3 Purushartha you strive upon. Then Vidudalai, that is moksha, will come automatically in due course. So, this is what is the Purusharthas. We are not going into detail. We had earlier seen about Dharma and all. Then the one more principle, or we can say the value of life is how we have valued the Indian womanhood. A woman is not something to be used or something, like an object of enjoyment. It's not at all like that. But she is looked upon as manifestation of Jagat Janani. So principally the women were never looked down upon in India. But everyone, whether man or woman, everyone is bound by dharma. So each one has to fulfill his or her swadharma. And therefore in India, this is again also a very big topic, and I have written a book also on that. So I know many questions will come, but we are not going to take any questions. This is going to be our last session. But if a woman really knows that she is the form of Jagat Janani, the Jagat Janani from whom this whole manifestation has come, I hold that motherhood in my heart. If she knows that, how she will behave, just imagine. If the men, the children are taught since the childhood how they will look up to the woman, that also we can understand. And that's what India had almost achieved, and even to the large extent. It is this samskara which helps a woman or which gives security to woman. Because of certain disturbance in Middle Ages, a woman was barred from education because she was protected by keeping inside home. So because she lost education, she lost social consciousness, national consciousness, though she took care of the religious aspect of household very nicely, and also doing samskaras on the children. So what only is needed, as Swami Vivekananda said, is only the exposure to her, again by giving her right education. And someone when asked Swami Vivekananda, what is your message to women? He said, why? It is same as to the men. Believe in yourself, believe in your country, and work for them. So what we have to strive now is only to again her participation of women should increase in social well-being and in national regeneration, as it should be, of course, in taking care of the family. Man or woman, the soul doesn't have any, gender. Soul is neither man nor woman. But we take a birth as we want to learn certain lessons. So, whatever is my role, that is where Swadharma we discussed last time. So, wherever I am born, whatever is my role, that I should fulfill properly. So, I will not go into much detail, but I will just tell you one thing, that in India, when India became independent, there was not even a discussion that whether women should have right to vote or not. When French Revolution was there they talked about equality, but this equality was not of all, it was only of men, not women. The women did not get any voting rights. They got it only in 1928. And the revolution was in 1789, I think. In America also, did not give right to vote to women. They gave only after the First World War as an appreciation. because the women helped in schools, colleges when the men went for war. In some countries it was given like Sweden, Switzerland and all in 1954, even after us. So principally in India we don't look down upon women, but because of certain interferences, some wrong practices have come that we have to remove, and her participation has to increase. Secondly, even today, even after what happened in Delhi and all that, even today compared to which so-called developed countries, in India, the atrocities on women are, if we take in proportion of the population, are much, much less. If you want, you can see United Nations document.org, unodc.org. In that, if you write women and violence, sexual violence, then you will get figures per 100,000 on how many women the violence is committed against them. For many countries it is 24, 28, 52, like that is the figure. For India it is 1.8. 1.8. Even that should not have been there if we really understand our culture and we have such sanskaras. Because the real security for a woman is not by laws, is not by increasing police force, but it is in the eyes of men. That is how the men are taught to look upon a woman. If they are taught to look upon her as representative of that motherhood, because of which his own mother has taken care of him, once that is learnt, as we had almost achieved, in many foreign travelers who came to India in 17th century, 18th century, they write about Indian women. They say Indian woman, when she walks on the road, she doesn't have to face any bad eye or bad comment of anyone. Someone else writes, if a woman, she wears all gold ornaments, young woman, and she walks on the road in the midnight also, no one will touch her. If there is a war and in house only women are there, even the enemy soldiers will not go and touch that house. So like that, so many things are written. I can quote you many more. So this essentially not looking down upon women, and in India only we see godhood is also worshipped as Jagat Janani, as in form of mother. We will go to the next value, and that is the law of karma. That also, unfortunately, we forgot much part of it. That is why today what we are. Ours is a culture which taught us that really you can worship God with your own action. Whatever action you do it so beautifully with all Shraddha and offer it to God. That itself will take you to the perfection. Whatever work you may be doing. Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manava. That's what Bhagavad Gita Krishna says. And that is what our Ishavasya Upanishad said. But unfortunately, in this country, we have forgotten. Today, we don't want to do our work properly. Somehow we want to shirk our responsibility. Why to blame only politicians? You go in any office. You go in any educational institution. Unless somebody is really monitoring, inspecting, watching, evaluating your performance, you don't improve your performance. That is a great tragedy. But it is only in our country we had given this law of karma. That is, today what you are is because of your earlier actions, and tomorrow what you will be is because of your today's action. It means the destiny is in your hand. If you decide, you can really change your destiny. You know about Eknath Ji. One very celebrated astrologer went. Actually, he was palmist. He will see the palm and tell the future. So he told Eknath Ji, I want to see your future. You know what Eknath Ji told? He said, I don't want to show you. Because whatever may be the lines on my hand, I will change my lines. I will do what I want to do. That's all. So our future is in our hand. Our destiny is in our hand. Like this, we had talked about our karma. That's why this is karma bhumi. That is, through our action itself, we will not get more bound as it generally happens. But we will get mukti. That Gahana Karmano Gatihi was taught here, but unfortunately that we have lost. I am telling you simultaneously that also, because some may have questioned, if our culture is so great, why today we are not that great. Of course we are coming up. If we follow these few principles which we have lost or which are not in practice, we can really improve well. Anyway, so that is one thing, rebirth is another. But now I will not go much into that. Now, so these are the values. The first is vision, then values and principles. Now these vision and values and principles, they are not taught. This is a most important point to be remembered. You know, for example, you go in India anywhere, and you ask anyone, where is God? You know, you will get the same answer. God is everywhere. He is inside, He is outside, He is everywhere. Now, there was no Shankaracharya who sent a circular, or so to say edict, to say everyone should say like that, or there is no such central authority in our country, and yet everyone says that. How it is? First thing, because it is rooted in the realization of many rishis, saints, sadhus, sannyasis. You know, everyone, whosoever realized it, he used to go from place to place, because sadhu should not stay in a place more than 3 days. And that is how, from these realized souls, it is the truth which is based in their realization. But it's not only that, because if they would have only taught us, we would have listened and we would have forgotten. Our rishis were excellent. You know, the vision is never taught, it is inculcated through practices, through cultural practices, cultural customs, cultural systems. Through that, all this vision is inculcated. So if you ask anyone, how do you know that God is everywhere? Did anyone teach you? Then he will say, no, I know. Now how does he know? Because since his childhood, his mother, father, grandparents, when they are bringing him up, everything, all our cultural practices, they inculcate this. For example, we wish each other. Now it is becoming very famous because of Corona. We wish each other as Namaste. Or we say Jai Shri Krishna, we say Ram Ram, we say Jai Ram Ji Ki. Now, see the vision behind it. That is, when I see someone, I don't only see that person's form, but I see the divinity that is in that. Same, which is everywhere. And therefore I say Namaste. Or I see the Ram in that person. So I say Ram Ram. I say Jai Ram Ji Ki. I say Jai Shri Krishna. So this is our practice. Some people say, why I should not say hello, hi? When we meet each other, we can say hi, as we are doing. What is wrong in it? A question is asked. Nothing is wrong. If you want, you can tell. But all these forms, they inculcate the vision. Slowly this vision will be lost. What vision of oneness we have, which is the most scientific truth. As we know, this whole universe is interconnected, interrelated, interdependent. It is one Chaitanya which has manifested as many. So, such a great principle we learn so unknowingly, that will be lost. In our country, when we are walking, suppose our leg touches someone, we are not supposed to just say sorry. What we are supposed to do? We bend down and we do namaskar. Or suppose, we worship everything. That is in Vishwakarma Day, or in Maharashtra it is on Dashera. In different places it is on different days. Here Tamil Nadu it is on Saraswati Puja Day. We worship all the instruments also. Whatever instruments are there in our house, our books, everything is worshipped. We worship rivers, we worship mountains, we worship trees. All the animals, some way or other, they are attached to some form of God or other. So everything is divine. Whatever you see, first its divinity should strike you. That is how we are brought up. So in our country only you will see, even when computer is purchased or a new car is purchased, you know what we do? We do puja. Even for that we take it to the temple, take the new car and we do puja. That is, all this a child is seeing from his childhood. You know, the mother says, beta, let us go to temple for भगवान दर्शन के लिए जाएंगे, we will go for भगवान, to see भगवान, और भगवत दर्शन के लिए मंदिर जाएंगे. But when that mother starts with that 4-year-old baby in her hand, holding his hand, the baby sees, the child sees the mother when she comes out of the house. You know, there is cow standing, she goes and does namaskar to the cow. Then again they go little ahead, then some village elder is coming, so she does namaskar to him. Then still further they go, then there is one peepal tree, she does namaskar to that. Then when we enter the temple, entering that step is there we do the namaskar. Then again when we go inside there may be Ashwatha, we do again namaskar to that Ashwatha. And like that it goes on. Mother had told we will have Bhagavad darshan, भगवान का दर्शन करने जाएंगे, और इतना सबका दर्शन वो कर रही है. इससे बच्चे को ये धीरे धीरे एक इंसाइट आ जाता है, उसको ये आत्मसात हो जाता है कि भगवान एक ही है और वही सर्वत्र है, उसी ने ये सारे रूप लिए हैं. तो all our cultural practices, you know, are for this. That is to inculcate the vision and the values. Therefore, the cultural practices are very important. Now, cultural practices are many. I will not go into all the details into that, but just for example, one is all our Kula Dharmas. That is all the practices of our family. So we may have some specific pujas, we may have some specific tradition, rituals that we follow in our house. So behind all that, there is some purpose to inculcate certain values and vision. Then there is Jati Dharma, as Arjun talks in first chapter. That is, whichever community I belong, that community has certain specific deities and the worship of that, the festivals, everything. So related to that. Then we have Samaj Dharma, that is all our locality, whatever practices we have. So like that it goes. So this is one system. Another system we have is Pancha Mahayajna. Then in Pancha Mahayajna only, that one yajna, that is Narayajna. There one part of Narayajna is you must give your time, energy, money for social well-being. So this is our yajna, and this is Mahayajna. It should be done regularly, and because of that, you know, our whole society was based on dharma, caring for each other. That's why we never needed any social service organizations, orphanages, old age homes, destitute homes. These were not required. There were no beggars in this land because we cared for each other. You know, even today, for example, in Punjab, you know, there are langars always. All gurudwaras have langars. So there you will not see a beggar begging for food. In Arunachal, you know, giving food is very easy. All their granaries, you know, are not locked because people are very truthful. They don't steal. And secondly, food is available for anyone. So you will not see beggar there. Wherever this sharing, caring is there social service NGOs, so-called NGOs are coming. No, they are not required. Actually, what is required is to bring back this practice of Pancha Mahayajna. And Pancha Mahayajna, what it does? It connects us again to all the samashtis. That is, man is potentially divine, we saw, but his physical manifestation also is not just body, mind, intellect. लेकिन वो जो आत्म चेतना है ना, उसका विस्तारित स्वरूप परिवार होता है, समाज होता है, राष्ट्र होता है, पूरी सृष्टि होती है. इसके साथ वो पूरा जुड़ा हुआ है. तो इस हर समष्टि के प्रति उसको जो एक योगदान करना है, वो योगदान ही यज्ञ है. उसको जो एक ऑफरिंग करना है, whatever a person should offer to maintain his connection with the higher expression of his own self, that offering is called as yajna. So, the Pitru Yajna is connection with the family, the Nara Yajna is the connection or nurturing or offering to the society, the Rishi Yajna is offering to the Rashtra, that is nation, and the Deva Yajna is offering to the nature, and Brahma Yajna is offering or connecting with our inner self, the divine, the Paramatman, the Atman, the Ishvara, which is everywhere. So, this is how Pancha Mahayajna connects. Then there are 4 ashrams that we have already seen in earlier one satra, that is Brahmacharya ashram, Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, Sannyas ashram. In Brahmacharya ashram, we know we have to know the aim of life, and we should strengthen our body, mind, intellect. In Grihastha ashram, we should take care of the family and should also work for the society. In Vanaprastha ashram, we should now withdraw from the active part in family. We should work for the society and nation, and we should also turn our mind inward. And in Sannyasa ashrama, you live for the whole universe, and you are one with the Ishvara. So, this is how a very natural expansion of self-consciousness in human life that was planned. So, that is another Vyavastha. Then we had our own educational, Shiksha Vyavastha also, educational system. As I had told earlier also in one session, that how we had a very universal primary education, which a survey conducted by British Parliament, by British collectors, compiled by one Christian missionary, William Adams, and which was, unearthed by Dharampalji and published as Beautiful Tree. So, in that we get all these details. This whole topic is a very big topic. I am just touching the main points. Now, so this is what these 3 things are there. Vision of life, for us it is vision of oneness, then values and principles of life, and systems of life. Now, as the time changes, or if suppose some challenges come, we do adopt temporarily certain systems. But when the time changes, that system is to be given up. But sometimes we forget, we continue, we call it as our tradition. But actually that tradition is against our values and vision. Then that we have to be aware and we have to change it. For example, actually this was one question which was asked by Veer Mehta from Rajkot. He says, इस समय में अगर कोई आदमी के पास 1 से ज़्यादा पत्नियां हों तो वह संस्कारी नहीं लगता है। तो फिर पुराने ज़माने में कृष्ण भगवान को ज़्यादा पत्नियां थी, तो यह भगवान के योग्य है, और राजा दशरथ को भी ज़्यादा पत्नियां थी, तो हमें मार्गदर्शन कीजिए कि यह कैसे योग्य है। Now I will give the example. This question I will answer by explaining this point. That see, the principle is a woman should be cared for because she is our mother. She represents the motherhood. So all the women in the society should be cared for. But when there used to be always more wars, so at that time, the ratio, otherwise generally the nature always has a balanced ratio. But because always there used to be wars and men number was less, so to balance, because women are more, so in those days that is what was the practice. A man could marry more women. Now the thing is not like that. Now it is almost equal. Of course, if when we started this testing the pregnancy time and all, and that is another very big topic, that is also some deliberately done. Anyway, I won't go into that because that is a big thing. But otherwise, our men-women ratio, the gender ratio is almost same. So at that time, if we continue the earlier practice, then what we are doing? We are harming the value, which is the value that take care of women. So if that is done, then a woman, will feel hurt, because first thing is, today the situation has changed. Today she is again, she is out, she is educated, and to keep the ratio, we cannot have this system. In olden days, a king used to have more marriages, also, to strengthen his kingdom, or to expand his kingdom. That's how it was done. And that's why even Shivaji Maharaj had few wives. But if we come to Sri Krishna, there is one more thing. You may be knowing that Narakasur had brought many young princes, kidnapped and brought and kept. So when he was killed, all these women, they were all spoiled by Narakasura. So they said, we cannot go back and we have no future. So either you kill us or you tell what is the way out for us. Then Krishna gave them the status in society by accepting all of them as his wives. So this is also something in those days that was required. And the topic is very big, but what we have to understand is the systems change. The values should not change. If the system is not helping us to practice the value, the system needs to be changed. But vision and values should not be lost. Vision and values are our identity, and systems help us to inculcate vision and values and also to move ahead with time. Therefore, the systems keep on changing little bit, the stress changes, but the vision and values, our gods and goddesses, should not be given up, should not change. I will give you another example, a very beautiful example from Arunachal Pradesh. In front of our eyes, we have seen history being made. In Arunachal Pradesh, earlier there were no temples, prayer halls, nothing like that. There was no need. As we saw Swakarmana Tamabhyarcha, our life itself was to be offered to Ishvara through our good actions. And that's how people were, truthful, honest, whatever needs to be done will be done. We'll listen to the elders, they will go, community life was very strong. And that is how they were leading the life. But when evangelization started, when conversion started, and our simple people were told that, see, you have no God and you have primitive religion, you don't pray to God, because really there was no need to pray. Every day they worshipped with their own actions, but they were told like that, and slowly, people also started thinking, अरे हाँ, अपना तो कोई मंदिर नहीं है, अपना तो कोई ऐसा एक साथ आना नहीं है. Sometimes when festival only used to be there, or some specific pujas, people used to come together. So at that time, Talom Rukboji, a great visionary, Rishi only we should say, of this age, he found the necessity that we need a additional system of invoking God suitable to this age, and that is how he started Ganging movement. So once in a week, all people will come together, they will pray to Ane Donni, and then that Ridin will be tied, and they will also discuss how we should protect our culture and all. So people first made fun of him and all that. He said, no, if we don't have one more additional system, then we will lose our gods and goddesses itself, and then we lose our identity. So in order to retain the identity, we need this additional system. And slowly, now it is Nider Namlo in Nishi community, Mider Nelo, and so many Rangfra temples. The whole of Arunachal got a way out how to hold on to one's culture, and not just hold on, how to take our culture vibrantly ahead. So that is how a new system of invoking God was required. Gods and goddesses are not changed. Our values are not given up. Our vision is not given up. What is added is one system. So systems can change. Systems can be modified. Systems can be adopted. But the vision and values should not be changed. So this is one very important thing to be remembered. Another thing is that if we just want to compare with other cultures, in other cultures, for example, the culture that comes out of communist culture, means in civilization sense I am talking, comes out of communist thought. In that only matter matters. That is, all the happiness is in material, and therefore it's a materialistic culture. So its vision is, there is no God. Religion is only opium, and this man is most important. He should enjoy the life, and for that he can exploit the nature. Same thing is capitalist. At the most, they will allow everyone can have their personal religion, whatever they want. In Christianity and Islam, it is a vision of, division. Division in the sense, faithful, unfaithful, kafir and believers, or believers and heathens, that is chosen and heathens. God is not seen as everywhere. Where is God? God is somewhere in the heaven. This nature is created for the enjoyment of a man, and man therefore should enjoy it. So man, nature, God, all three are unconnected, and nature is for enjoyment. So nature can be exploited. And therefore you see, all systems are systems of division. The systems of exploitation, the systems of separation. Now I will just only give this much. You can later find out how it happens. So even in education, they have class system. We never had class system. It was each one will grow as per his own speed. So it was manifestation of perfection within. People were not categorized. He is in this class, he is in this class. Not like that. If someone can go faster, he could go faster. So this is how, whether education system, whether commerce system, whether even industry, all our industries were such that we never exploited the nature. Even agriculture was such, we used to replenish the mother earth. You may think it's only with cow dung and all. No, not like that. We used to replenish the mother earth even with the gold water. There are references like that. We used to replenish the mother earth. So everything is of connection here, and there everything is of separation, because here it is a vision of oneness, there it is a vision of division. Now once this is clear, then we can understand many things. For example, there are people, they say, oh, all religions talk of same thing. That is, all talk of love, non-violence, then brotherhood. It's true, all talk. But if vision is not proper, if vision is not based on truth, their brotherhood also gets distorted. So, a brotherhood for a Sunni Muslim, it will be only for Sunni Muslims in Pakistan. The Sunni Muslims brotherhood will not be for Ahmadiyya Muslims or for Baluch Muslims. It will not be for him. Or a brotherhood for a communist. It is only for their comrades. It is not for others. But when in India we talk of Vishwa Bandhutva, we don't say that those who believe only Shiva or Vishnu or Vedas, only they should be happy. We don't talk like that. So, because our vision is a vision of oneness, we see the whole universe, Ishvara, man, as connected with each other. So our brotherhood also is as expansive and as vast and infinite as this existence is. We don't differentiate, we don't separate. So this is a very important point which all of us, when we do comparative studies of culture, we have to remember. Now these 3 points which I told, vision of life, values of life and systems of life, you know, they were mentioned in our culture earlier also, but we use some technical scriptural terms. They were Shruti and Smriti. But today Smriti, whenever we talk, people only remember only Manusmriti. It is not like that. That's why I have chosen to put it in this way. Another thing it was necessary is because in the light of vision, the practice and scope of values get decided. So it was necessary even in Shruti to separate the vision and the values. So these 3 components of culture, if we understand, then many things we can start understanding of our culture, and if we want to compare it with others, we can also do it in much better way. There are few questions now related to culture, which I will take. One is बसवराज हिरप्पा डबरे विवेकानंद केंद्र सोलापुर. भारतीय संस्कृति में ऋषि मुनि यज्ञ क्यों करते थे, उसका महत्व क्या है? एक तो बहुत पहले का यज्ञ यदि हम सोच रहे हैं तो पहले के जो यज्ञ होते थे वो पूरे समाज का इंटरेक्शन करने का एक स्थान होते थे. ये होम नहीं है जो छोटा सा बैठ के हम आहुति डालते हैं ना, सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं होता था. यानी जैसे आप जानते हैं कि पूरी महाभारत कथा वगैरह जो है, अपनी बहुत सारी कथाएं, ये सारे यज्ञ के समय रात में बताई जाती थी. और ऐसा करते हुए पूरे राजाओं की वंशावली वगैरह वगैरह ये सारा हमें उस समय सब चलता था. सो यज्ञ ये समाज के प्रति हमें जो जो आता है वो उनको देना, यानी योगदान करना, समाज में अच्छे विचारों को लेकर जाना, समाज के हर घटक को इन मूल्यों से फिर से बार बार जोड़ने का प्रयास करते रहना, इसके लिए वो यज्ञ करते थे. जो होम करते थे उसमें उसके पीछे का एक ये था, उसके पीछे विज्ञान भी बहुत है कि हवा शुद्ध होती है वगैरह, वो तो है ही. दूसरा ऐसा है कि हमारे पास जो है उसमें से हमने कुछ ईश्वर को देना है. तो जब हमारे पास बहुत संपन्नता थी तब हम सिर्फ होम ही करते थे. लेकिन अपने संस्कृति में एक बहुत विशेष बात है कि जैसे काल की चुनौतियाँ आती है, हमारे यहाँ ऐसे युग पुरुष, महापुरुष या अवतार जन्म लेते हैं कि जो ऐसे संकल्पनाओं को और गहरा अर्थ देते हैं. तो उसी प्रकार यज्ञ को बहुत गहरा अर्थ भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने दिया. भगवद गीता में हम देखते हैं यज्ञ का, तो वो यही कहते हैं कि मुझे समाज से कुछ मिला है, उसमें से वापस मैंने कुछ समाज को देना है. समय दान, धन का दान और अपनी सदिच्छाएं, अपना व्यवहार, मेरा व्यवहार भी ऐसा हो कि जिससे समाज में गलत काम शुरू न हो. तो ऐसा ये जो मैंने देना है वो यज्ञ है. और ऐसा यज्ञ जो नहीं करता है, यानी जो सिर्फ खुद के लिए जीता है कि मैं मेरे लिए जीऊँगा, मुझे जो करना है करूँगा, मैं शिक्षक हूँ, मैं 10 से 4 बजे तक शिक्षक हूँ, 4 के बाद मैं चाहे जो करूँगा, मैं पब में जाके शराब पीऊँगा और रास्ते पे आके दंगा करूँगा, ऐसा शिक्षक नहीं कह सकता है. क्योंकि उसको उसके विद्यार्थी यदि देखेंगे तो वे बेचारे, उनकी सारी श्रद्धा टूट जाएगी. एक बार शिक्षक के ऊपर की श्रद्धा टूट गई तो फिर वो शिक्षक बाद में उनको कुछ नहीं सिखा सकता है. इसीलिए यह जो यानी मेरा व्यवहार कैसा है, मेरा समय थोड़ा समाज के लिए देना है, मेरा धन थोड़ा देना है, ये जो थोड़ा देना है इसको यज्ञ कहते हैं, सम ऑफरिंग. ये किए बिना जो खुद के लिए जीता है, भगवान श्री कृष्ण कहते हैं वो चोर है. और वो क्या कर रहा है, समाज से लेता तो है, देता कुछ नहीं है. लेकिन जो समाज को वापस देता है इससे क्या होता है, समष्टि फिर से आने वाली पीढ़ी का फिर से अच्छा योगक्षेम कर सकती है, उनको अच्छा काम करने के लिए सिखा सकती है, और वे फिर से यत्न करेंगे तो फिर से समाज समृद्ध रहेगा और ये चक्र चलता रहेगा। एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम न अनुवर्तयति हयः। ऐसा जो ये चक्र मैंने शुरू किया है, वो जिसका पालन जो नहीं करता है वो जीवन व्यर्थ जी रहा है और वह इस पृथ्वी का भार है, ऐसा भगवान श्री कृष्ण कहते हैं। तो इसीलिए वो यज्ञ का महत्व है। तो ऐसा यज्ञ हम सबने अपने जीवन में सतत करना है, क्योंकि अपनी संस्कृति ही यज्ञ संस्कृति है। ये ईश्वर सर्वत्र है, तो ये जो प्रकटित ईश्वर है, ये जो विराट है, जो स्वामी विवेकानंद कहते हैं जनता जनार्दन है, इसके प्रति भी अपना जो कर्तव्य है, जो पूजा है, वो हमने सेवा भाव से अपना पूरा करना है। दीपाली कात्रे अंबरनाथ, what will be our action plan to bring out social and cultural life again in practice? मैंने आज ये बताते बताते कुछ तो बता ही दिया कि एक तो है अपने अंदर के ईश्वरत्व के ऊपर विश्वास, यानी अच्छाई के ऊपर विश्वास। हाँ, मैं जीवन में श्रेष्ठत्व प्राप्त कर सकता हूँ, मैं ये जैसे गोबर का कीड़ा है ऐसा मेरा जीवन नहीं रहेगा, या जो दूसरों को नीचा दिखाता है ऐसा मेरा जीवन नहीं रहेगा, या मेरा जीवन रोने वाला नहीं रहेगा। तो हमारे बच्चों को हमने ऐसा बड़ा करना है। आज बहुत संपन्न घरों में देखते हैं बच्चा दौड़ भी रहा है, हम बोलते हैं अरे अरे थोड़ा देख के दौड़ो गिर जाएगा। या बच्चा कुछ करना चाहता है, किसी को मदद करना चाहता है, तो हम नाराज हो जाते हैं। मैंने ऐसे माता पिता देखे हैं कि यदि बेटा जाके संस्कार वर्ग ले रहा है तो उनको लगता है बेटा अपना समय बर्बाद कर रहा है, लेकिन वही बेटा अपने मित्रों के साथ यदि क्लब में जाता है तो वो कहता है ये तो तारुण्य सुलभ है, ये तो उसने करना ही चाहिए, ये तो उसका एज है। यानी आज हम ही अपने बच्चों को हम श्रेष्ठ कार्य करेंगे इसकी प्रेरणा नहीं देते हैं, हम ही उनको स्वार्थी बनना सिखाते हैं। एक छोटा सा उदाहरण, जब मैं यहाँ प्रिंसिपल थी तो यहाँ एक नृत्य होने वाला था, और उस नृत्य में बच्चों को, बच्चे भी सारे ग्रामीण बच्चे थे, तो उनको आप ये खरीद के आइए वगैरह ऐसा हम बोल नहीं सकते थे। तो हम तय करते थे किसी के पास पीले रंग के कपड़े हैं क्या, तो आप लेकर आओ, इसको दो वगैरह, ऐसा होता था। तो हमने एक बार ऐसे ही पूछ रहे थे तो एक लड़की ने बोला हाँ हाँ मेरे पास है, यानी जो होता है ना वो लॉन्ग स्कर्ट और पट्ट पावड़े यहाँ कहते हैं, तो मेरे पास पीले रंग का पट्ट पावड़े है उसने कहा। तो हमने कहा ठीक है तुम लेके आओ फिर डांस के दिन। तो वो उस दिन लेकर नहीं आई। मैंने कहा अरे तुमने बोला था और लेकर नहीं आई, फिर हमने दूसरा कुछ एडजस्ट कर दिया। तो उसने कहा नहीं नहीं, मेरे माँ ने बोला ऐसा दूसरों को देंगी तो फिर उसका पसीना आएगा और फिर वो ये नहीं करना चाहिए। यानी बहुत अल्टीमेट सेंस में ये ठीक भी हो सकता है, लेकिन कपड़े धोकर तो उपयोग कर ही सकते हैं। और एक बार वो बच्ची ने शब्द दिया है तो माँ ने उसको सिखाना है, ठीक है तुम लेकर जाओ, और शायद उसको बहुत गरीब है तो उसको दे ही दो, ऐसा भी माँ कह सकती थी क्योंकि वो संपन्न घर की लड़की थी। यानी आज हम अपने बच्चों को क्या जीवन मूल्य दे रहे हैं, हम कैसे जी रहे हैं। कल्चर इज नेवर टॉट थ्रू लेक्चर्स, यू नो, इट इज ओनली inculcated in our children by our practice and by creating such ambience. So this is what we will need to do. So this is one more I will take. This is Savita from Ek Bharat Vijay Bharat team Hyderabad, Telugu Prant. Her question is, Vivekananda Kendra took up yoga as a core and used yoga abhyas for nation building from 1970 to 73 itself. Kendra's content is rich. Moreover, it looks at yoga as vision of life, again based on oneness. How does Vivekananda Kendra plan to scale up yoga-based activities to build organizational structure and strength through yoga in present times? Actually, एक तो केंद्र को ये भी करना है कि योग को भारतीय संस्कृति से ही अलग कर दिया। Means yoga is something like secular. That is how it is being propagated or promoted. So in Vivekananda Kendra we didn't say like that. Actually yoga is, if at all we want to give a simile, yoga is a beautiful fruit which has come on this great eternal tree of Indian culture. योग दर्शन, अनेक दर्शनों में से, छठ दर्शनों में से ये एक दर्शन है. तो पहला तो इसको, योग को इसके जड़ से जुड़ा हुआ ही हमने लोगों को देना है, क्योंकि योग का प्रयोजन सिर्फ शरीर को ठीक करना वगैरह ऐसा नहीं है, जो आपने भी समझा है और प्रश्न में पूछा है. तो इसीलिए जो मैंने एक प्रश्न का जवाब आई हैड गिवन अर्लियर, दैट इफ इट इज जस्ट ए मस्टर्ड सीड, द प्लांट कम्स वेरी इमीडिएटली, बट if it is some very better quality tree we want, then it takes time, and that is why Kendra is making certain earlier we planned something which didn't work out or did not become that effectively. Now again Kendra has started yoga certificate courses. We insist in all yoga satras, yoga theory should be there, what we discussed just now, yajna should be there, dharma chakra should be there. So though it may take time, it will surely have its own impact. And if any of our own center also can find out also some more dimensions which can be adopted so as to make this still to take to more people, we can very well do that also. ही एक्चुअली समय हो गया है और ऑलमोस्ट सारे प्रश्न हो गए. एक ही बता देती हूँ, सनातन धर्म और कल्चर में क्या फ़र्क है. मेरे हिसाब से कुछ नहीं है, सिर्फ शब्दों का यह है. दोनों जीवन पद्धतियाँ हैं, दोनों इसके ऊपर आधारित है, एकात्मता के ऊपर आधारित जीवन दर्शन, एकात्म जीवन दर्शन है ये. इसीलिए इसमें ज़्यादा कुछ ये नहीं है. सिर्फ भारतीय संस्कृति यदि हम कहते हैं तो उसमें इवन ऐसे लोग भी उसका भाग हो सकते हैं जो ऐसे भगवान की पूजा करते हैं जो यहाँ के नहीं हैं, लेकिन वो यहाँ के इस तत्व को यानी एकात्म जीवन दर्शन को मानते हैं, यहाँ के मूल्यों को भी मानते हैं, सिर्फ उनका उपासना का देवता अलग है. ऐसा है तो वो भी इस संस्कृति के अंग है. But in ultimate sense actually both are same. That's what I feel. So I conclude it. It was very nice. Our IT team, they wanted also to have a lot of new scaling up or experiments in our YouTube channel. So our last 3 sessions, means last 2 and this session, we have already recorded and we are only putting it as a premiere show. So if we want to do in in interior areas how it can be done, so that also we tried, and it was a good experience for all of us here also. We thought you all are in shutdown. Fortunately in Kanyakumari we are in shutdown in 100 acres and therefore you must also have some different visuals. So once we came out of the Wi-Fi range, and that is we started pre-recording, so we could come. Today we are sitting in Ramayana Darshan, so that you can also have some darshan of different visuals. For me also personally, it was a very nice experience because to talk to a machine is a bit difficult. But somehow I managed. But I liked more thing is that so many questions came. I read names of all of you, I read all the questions. So indirectly it was meeting all of you. Many of you gave your remarks, later in comments and all. So though in shutdown, we could all connect with each other. So that was a good thing. So we hope that as Sheila Mishra Didi had asked question whether there is a higher message, in this shutdown, very surely. For anyone to come out with creative solutions, for whatever challenges our culture is facing. That's what Arnold Toynbee also says. only that culture where there were people who could retreat within themselves, find out spiritual answers, and then very creatively applied it. They could face the challenges of time, and the culture which had slightly degraded, they again took it up. And that's how he credits that Indian culture is still living so long, because always there was such a group of people who could spiritually withdraw within and again came out. So I am sure that we all Karyakartas have used this opportunity to strengthen ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and also intellectually. That is where is the the test of a person. In difficult periods, the weak persons they collapse, but the real strong persons, they use the difficulty to become still stronger, and that inner strength, all of us we develop with that prayer. We conclude this session. Namaste.